Coach, spring ball starting in just a couple of days. First of all, just talk a little bit about the kind of the change in structure and decision to start on a different schedule.
Well, really started with our all-season hire of our new strength coach, Mike Siriano. And we just got to discussing, what we needed to do to become a bigger, stronger, faster football team. And, he thought it would be really, really beneficial that we move spring practice up and give us a few extra weeks on the back end leading into August practice and have us really just an opportunity to continuously train and get better and stronger, like I said, bigger, stronger, faster. So that was really the determining factor on moving spring practice up. He's been a great addition to our football team. Well, I think we've been in our lifting and off-season conditioning now for 4 weeks, and this is our 5th week. And we've implemented something this week, the last week before spring practice, called Prowl Week, which is really what I think is very, very unique. It's not really a scheduled basis. We've divided our team up into teams, 8 teams, and they're really on call 24 hours a day, and we're throwing different things at them, and to have them to fight through adversity, to strain, develop leadership, discipline, commitment, effort, to really get over the mentality of giving in. When a few times last year we gave in, and it's been marvelous thus far, and it's really exciting for us leading into spring practice, because I think this spring practice is going to be one of the more critical time periods that we have in our off-season preparation.
What are the most critical objectives to accomplish during spring ball?
Fighting through adversity, knowing how to put away opponents, to really, really bear down and not relax. So we haven't had a relaxing day or week since we've finished our season. And that's ultimately what it is about. So many times you reflect on a team a year ago that, I don't know if it was a relaxation, but we didn't strain to finish. And that's something we have prided ourselves on. We just got to do really a better job in general of coaching staff, to our players, to our leadership, to really learning to strain to finish. So we're going to strain in this spring practice. Where a year ago, we had a lot of older guys, and to tell you the truth, we were trying to get our young guys in place to develop those guys. And right, wrong, or different, looking back, I don't think it paid off. So we're going to really put the hammer down, and it's going to be a physical spring practice. It's going to be a competitive spring practice, and it's going to be a tough spring practice.
Who are some of the players you're most interested to see?
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, everyone. I mean, several. We got new quarterbacks in place right here. Michaela Calacerdo won't go through as much as he could have gone through because of an off-season surgery. And then some other new faces that we have, some new transfers that we have in place. See, just so where they fit in, what kind of practice effort they have, what kind of competitive drive. We've seen it out here in drills. I'm really ready to see it now in the actual game of football. We think we've added some very, very key pieces, and we lost some key pieces, but I think we've added some key pieces that they're going to come in there and do just fine.
Obviously, near and dear to your heart, the offensive line. This is the first time in a while where you really have to kind of rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the whole thing for the most part. We did. We lost some key guys. I think the 2 key guys right there, Malik Sumner and Pat Barlett, they've been around for a long, long time. And as I go back and look through the course of their careers, I think a little bit last year they became a little tired. They were here a long, long time. And it's good to have some new energy. It's good to have some new hunger. And that's going to be one of the more exciting things to see. Guys that are really, really hungry to get in there. Their time to step up and time to shine. We've added 2 really big physical transfers into that area, and they have been outstanding. And when I talk about physically mature individuals, I'm talking about strong men that can move people. They're just who they are, and that's what they're about. So we're going to replace them. I learned a lot. We were actually recruiting a kicker over here, and his dad was from South Africa, I believe it was. And he got to talking to us about hunting, and he said, "We don't feed our dogs for 5 days before we go hunting." He said that way they're hungry to hunt. And that's kind of how we're going to be this spring. We're going to have some guys hungry to hunt.
Who are some of the, maybe some younger guys from last year that we didn't see a lot of the field that look to take a step forward?
Well, I think when you look at, you think about offensively right there, so much promise had been in place for Robert Lewis. He started off fantastic and then, dealt with injury, and then towards the end of the year had a torn hamstring and completely taken out of the rotation. He's a guy that's going to step in and just roll, I think. One of the more dynamic athletes, speed guy that we have on our football team. I'm excited to watch him play. Marcus Carroll, he's kind of stepping up to the plate. It's his time to shine, and he had his moments a year ago, stepping in when had some injuries there in the backfield. I think another one that's going to be electric is KZ Adams. Those guys, hopefully we're not going to miss a beat in that area. Defensively, you bring in some guys right there. You talk about, I'm really anxious to see Henry Bryant take over that nose spot, then transfer from Louisville. The linebacker spots that we have right there, you've got Blake Carroll that's still coming off the injury with the Achilles tendon, so there's some new guys stepping up in place. And then we've got a secondary that's going to be filled with some competitive spirit. I mean, every day ought to be a great opportunity to go out there and you can't let up, because there's positions to be had. And there's some older guys that are going to be pushed, because we've got some hungry younger talent.
You kind of touched on this, one of the questions you just answered, but does going into the spring where there is so much, positions up for battle, as opposed to last year where you were playing some younger guys,
Yeah.
do you think that is definitely beneficial for heading to 2023?
No question about it. I mean, you do a lot of reflecting on seasons where we became so close in many games but didn't finish and put it over the top. And I really, when I think back to it, I think the hunger, there was, I don't know if the hunger was there like it should have been, but I see the hunger in the eyes of these guys working right now, and I see the guys that, they're not resting on their laurels, so to speak. They haven't had a chance to go prove themselves to solidify a spot. And everybody's fighting everybody right now. I mean, when we're working out there in our drills in the early mornings, everyone is competing at a high level. There's no let up with any one of it. It's full speed ahead, and man, it's great to see. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's throwing a lot of energy. I've got a lot of energy, but it's given me a lot of energy seeing these guys work and want to progress and want to take that spot.
And obviously, I don't think you're going to declare any position just filled in spring practice, but since you brought in a lot of these guys in December and they're on campus already going through spring practice, it's going to help you if you can see, like, this guy who came in looks like he can be up for that starting job when fall camp enters.
I mean, that's the whole point of coming in the spring. When you transfer and you come in for a reason. And that's to find out first and foremost, are you going to be able to help us right away? And that's why you go out and recruit these guys and bring in those types of individuals. So yeah, we're going to find out in a hurry if they're ready to play. In watching all of the younger guys that have come in, transfers and whatnot, the quarterbacks even, I've seen guys that can help us. I mean, that can help us, not just in a gradual sense. These guys will come in and do it right away. Death Valley, you over there?
Yeah. Having Darren back at quarterback, how does that kind of settle some of the other questions that are going around knowing you've got that guy?
Well, I always know in order to be successful, you got to have a good quarterback, and you've got to have a returning quarterback with great experience. And a third-year starter right now, we feel pretty confident about him. He's done a good job in more of a leadership role in this off season. So yeah, we expect big things out of Darren.
He's got some guys that can catch the ball.
He's got some guys that can catch the ball. Everyone points, when you lose a guy like the receiver we lost in the portal, everyone's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But when you think about Robert Lewis and Stretch Cradle, you think about Jakari Carter, he may be the single most, important guy we got. He's coming here, he's become a great leader. He works his tail off, and we've got some guys that can catch the football.
I think I want to see KZ Adams.
I think I want to see KZ Adams as well.
You wanna see the back of him going the other way.
You know, we 2 springs ago when KZ walked in here, he was I think he was the MVP of the spring. Well, not the MVP of the spring, but the newcomer of the spring. And KZ is such a gifted athlete, and he's such a gifted player mentally and physically, and he's done a really nice job of kind of he sat back and he watched and developed. And we thought KZ was ready to go out there and play, there was still a lot of stuff that he didn't know from a scheme standpoint, but a true just put the ball in his hand, and if you were just playing backyard football, he's the guy you want to have out there. So we're all excited to see him. That 1-2 punch with the strength and then the elusiveness of KZ, and you got Jay Dixon in there as well, and we've had a couple signees coming in. That's going to be a room that we're going to hopefully always keep at that level. But I think KZ is lightning in a bottle. It's kind of like running around trying to catch a chicken. You're not gonna. It's tough. It's tough.
I want to catch my chicken when it's fried.
We would have to put it in a real small room if it was alive for you and I to go chase it.
Is Blake gonna be playing in spring, or is he still playing?
Yeah, I think he's still healing up. He is running now, but an injury like that, I've never experienced really an Achilles injury that I've really had to go through and see him progress and come back from. But he's progressing right on target, and he's running right now, and I think he'll be ready for the fall.
That's a tough injury there.
I don't have much experience over it. I do know I've heard it pop before and heard the guys scream, and that's
Yeah, it's usually people your age, not people his age.
What are you trying to say?
Hey, I'm older than you, I can say it.
What, are you trying to say I'm fixing to pop my Achilles tendon? Is that what?
No, I'm just saying.
I have I just went and ran that doggone the Tour de Park Stadium yesterday with those guys. So I'm ready to go, Allison. But if I pop my doggone Achilles, I'm coming after you.
She jinxed you.
You kind of singled out that you were expecting that competitiveness from the secondary.
Yes.
What makes you talk about that position in that way?
Oh, we've created a pulse committee, kind of I guess you can call it a leadership group, and the guys in the back end, and we've got a few of those guys on there, and they're here all day and all night. I mean, they're walking out of this facility at 7:30 in the evening. What if they're working on footwork or strength training or on that jugs machine? It's just that group right there has really taken on a different look and a different role. I mean, they've got a look in their eyes. You take about Keith. I mean, he's ready to take an even bigger step. The young guys that we have, Jackson is going to be. He is working as good as I've ever seen, and it's just an exciting group. It's kind of like there's blood in the water. They see the positions open, and they're like, hey, we got to go fight for them. And they're all working really, really good with one another. And that's going to be an exciting process to watch shake out.
Do these guys coming back kind of feel like last year was a disappointment and they want to make up for it, or what's?
I think anytime when you went through the season like we had went through, and to see what could have been and how close it was, and then it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to be, or not supposed to be, the way we had hoped it to be, there's certainly disappointment starting right up with me. I mean, we talk about New Year's resolutions. I was like, be a better coach, and I've got to do a lot of things differently to make sure that doesn't happen. And we had to make sure our players understood they've got to do also a lot of things differently to make sure that doesn't happen. We're on the same accord in that aspect of it. Like I said, the off season is a great time to see exactly how disappointed you were with the season prior, and from the first 5 weeks of what we've been doing, it's been right on point. It's been about business and nothing else. I think from going to class and academics to study hall to being at breakfast to being at lunch and in the weight room, it's just the mentality has changed, and there's a hunger in our eyes and a hunger in our hearts that I like to see, and we've all got it.
Extending out to the staff, which everyone from your assistants and you are all back from last year. Another thing where it's, you all went through that and you all have the same expectation of being better.
Oh yeah, I mean we all talked very, very openly about last season. I mean we all did. I mean when you're the head football coach, you put it right on your back and your shoulders, and then you go down to your assistant coaches, and we all understood, what we have to do to get better, where we could have gotten better a year ago. The one great thing about it is we are all consistent right now. A year ago, I believe we lost 6 assistant coaches. It was a carousel every other week, coaches going here and going there. And that had a lot to do with it, but the consistency that we have back, and that's going to pay dividends for us. And we all understand we have to do a better job.
Starting on Monday, huh?
We're starting on Monday.
What is, the time?
Oh, geez, I believe we'll be on the field at 9,
Okay.
starting right from the get-go. Yeah, I know it's right after the Super Bowl, but it's time to get to work. And to be honest with you, I kind of wanted to start this week, but we pushed it back a week so we could have a little bit of separation between our recruiting and our install with our staff. We're planning to go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. If weather plays a part, we'll practice on a Wednesday or a Saturday. And we're going to have our spring game on March 9th that evening. And I told them, I said, it's time to get to work. It's going to be a real straightforward approach. We're going to push, and it's going to be tough. In the past, I think we've strung it out a little bit where it was maybe a 3-day week, practice day week. But I think a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is going to tell us a lot about guys that want to come out here and practice and want to come out here and get better.
And that's what you want to see is who, not separating the wheat from the chaff, but who wants it more than.
We've been separating that in the first 5 weeks. I mean, now who's wanting to take control? And that's what's great about it, because there's so many individuals that you see have done such a good job in the 5 weeks that we've been preparing right now to go out there and practice, that there are just going to be battles after battles. And, competitive nature drives us all, and that's what makes it successful. If you have that drive and you have that will into you, then you're not going to have the letdown. And that's what I'm so anxious to see. Yeah, there's going to have to be some separation, but boy, it may be right there at the very, very end of this practice, and it may push right into fall. But I think we've got a group that's going to go out there and lay it on the line.
And I guess the other benefit of the way that you've changed spring is that it's going to be all the way through. There's no break with spring break getting all done that time.
That's right. It's straight work. They're going to have a Saturday and a Sunday to get their bearings right, and then we're going to hit it rolling back on Monday. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be tough. I mean, we're going to go helmet, 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 and then we're going to roll full pad, and we're going to roll with it. And like it or not, game of tackling and blocking, catching, running the football. Those are the things that we're going to work on. Those are the things we're going to get better at, and it will be go time as soon as we put those full pads on that. I guess that Friday.